Hey there, and welcome to my channel. Today, I wanted to focus on limitations and how often we are self imposing so many limitations, but with the thought that it's because of someone else, or maybe we believe that there are situations that occurred in our lives that stops us from being able to be the bright bulb, the bright light, maybe the brightest bulb in a room, and all because of what we think other people have an idea of us. So that means not even your perception of yourself, but the perception of someone else thinking of who you are. And sometimes you allow you to be the person who becomes that. So it's like, okay, so this individual thinks that I am this way, therefore I must behave this way. So, how can I get to a point to show you that you are empowered, you are fully empowered to shift your identity, but recognizing when the limitations that you are imposing on yourself are not serving you, are not serving a purpose? Because if you are meant for more, and you know you're meant for more because you can feel it, you feel the need for growth, you need to do more or to just do things differently. It could be that when you go to work, you feel that there's some kind of inadequacy. Perhaps you are in a certain position, but then you feel like that's your glass ceiling. You don't see the next step above that. If that's where you are, sometimes we don't see it because of the identity that we've already decided that that's who we are. This is all I'm able to do. This is who I am. Not realizing that often because of how you grew up, how someone said that you are not able to do something, or maybe that you're not good enough, stopped you from seeing how much you can do and how far you can go. And when you do, there's always someone or a voice, or it could be your friend that will say, but who do you think you are? And then when you hear that, who do you think I am? You question, yeah, who do I think I am? And then you dim your light. You stop yourself from pursuing the things that you know in your heart are calling you, that you are ready for that. And yet, it's not even a limitation that you are aware that you can stop yourself from pursuing. If you're noticing that that's where you are because you are meant for more, you are seeking for the next position, and maybe you're even thinking, I already have my bachelor's degree, maybe my master's degree, but I need another certification. I need something else. I really want you to think about that and is that really true? So often, the way for us to get off this train that is just not fulfilling, that we continue to move on, but we notice that life is passing by. I'm not making any changes. I am not becoming the person that I want to be because of all these limitations. I want you to also question that. Are those limitations because of other people or because you are allowing someone else to influence you in a way that is not supporting you? Because you have the power to influence yourself for the things that you want to be. And I'll tell you this because I've been in a position where someone else was trying to impose my glass ceiling, expecting me to be a certain way. And often, when I will work and I will present my work, this individual will come in and speak about my work as if they were doing the job. But I also knew that there are certain things that I couldn't necessarily put it out there because I wasn't going to voice my opinion in a way that damaged our relationship. I simply decided at one point, I need to be the leader that I'm called to be. So whether this person is doing these things that are not aligned with who I am and they're not aligned with the person that I want to follow, I decided I don't need to follow them. How about I become the person that my team needs because I had a team. I become the person that they need to push the ideas, the thoughts, the decisions forth because that was a team that was already seen as a great team. But I had this vision that they can be better, that they can be bigger. And because of that, it was about putting myself in a position of leadership and decide I have you, I got you, I'm not going to let you down. And because of this, no matter what's going on, I'm going to be the leader that you need by influencing them to think outside the box, to realize that they had so much potential. And I wanted them to bring their ideas forth because I was the leader who's going to listen and is going to promote their ideas, is going to put their names out there. But it started with me making a decision to shift my identity. That means the idea of other people didn't necessarily shift my thoughts as to who I was and how to manage it. And I say this specifically because I've been in a position where while I was doing the job, I applied for a bigger, and I said a bigger role. And a manager said to me, if you really wanted this position, you would have gone to Suffolk University and get a master's degree in policy and procedure, which is where most managers are going for. And I thought I knew my skills. I was in the department for quite a while, that I already knew the ins and outs. I provided a lot of ideas that could have changed the guidance, etc., which many of them were implemented, but yet it wasn't necessarily that I got any credit. Not that I was looking for the credit, but that reminded me that I was an outside the box thinker. I didn't need another certification to prove my worth or that I could do the job. I just needed to rise above the that thought of what is the perception that this person has of me, that she sees me as limited. So I was called to be the leader that I needed to be. Because of that, I started to pursue more self development. I took some of the courses that were open in my department to push my skills further. But then I also decided to go outside and get myself a coaching certification, which I had no idea was going to be built into a business, that eventually I was going to realize that I can use that for much more, to support others, for a breakthrough, to support moms, especially, to realize that who you became when you became a mom is much more than you could ever perceive, that does not limit who you are. Instead, it gives you more power because you became an exceptional person as you became a mom. Time management became one of the biggest part of your skills, because you have to understand how to use your time in a way that is effective and efficient to take care of your household, to take care of your children, to work and have this balance, which balance is a myth, but to integrate things into your life in a way that was really working. And you also became stronger at problem solving. Problem solving became a natural thing because it's just who you have to become once you become a parent, that you have to understand how to use certain decision making, even the way that you speak to your child, in a way that you are influencing the right behavior, the changes that you need to do to manage your household in a perfect way. Not, there's no such thing as a perfect, but at least in a way that feels effective and forward movement, so that you are having this mentality of continuous improvement, whether it is in your household or in your work, that there's this continuous improvement, this leadership influence into your work, into your household. And also you had to build resilience in terms of having more empathy, understanding what others are feeling. So I know that when you became a mom, you got all these additional skills that came with that. And instead of making you less, it should have made you more. And I noticed for me, it made me more. I was hungry. I was hungry for more, to be the leader that I know I was called to be, that I could be. And when this person put this limitation onto me, that this is what you need to do to get to this level, I decided, no, I don't need that, because I know who I am and I know my strength and I know what I bring to the table. And I'm going to show, and I decided I needed to prove more to myself that I was bigger than that. And that was not a no necessarily, but it was more of a delay. I did that. So I had, like I said, quite a few people during my vision as I was becoming a better leader that came up with their own limitations of who I was. And I rose above that. Then eventually things started to come into place. The more I became, the more I was the leader, the more they noticed my team was growing in skills, in strength, and everything. We became the team that people called us the Navy SEALs of my department. We were the Navy SEALs of DTA. And because of that, they knew that it had to do with the leadership. But a lot of the skills that I was gaining was also because I chose to invest in myself, to go outside and learn about coaching. The idea of knowing how to become a better coach was because I wanted to bring the skills back into my team and infuse my staff with the skills that they needed, and also the ability to lead themselves in a way that I wanted them to have that identity shift of leaders, influencers, doers, solution driven people. That's who they became. So a lot of the strategies that I learned was because I put myself out there and I kept pushing forward, and eventually I end up graduating and started coaching. But then I also started going to other big giants like the Tony Robbins inner circle, the Dean Graziosi inner circle. I started learning about Maxwell leadership and Simon Sinek's leadership. I started pursuing the things that I know is going to continue to propel me to become the leader, the influencer that I needed to be. And today, I sit in a position that I didn't expect to come to me, but it was literally created for me 3 years ago, where I became a director of multi teams because my skills were just compounding and getting bigger. And then my manager, another manager who was not my manager at the time, that I was really excited to work with, saw me and decided to come up with an idea, which then first got shut down by somebody else. And then eventually the commissioner came in and she saw me too and decided, if you want this job, we need you to manage this team to change, because it was a team that there was another additional team that I was being given that was failing. They needed a lot of support, that they were behind on their work, there was a lot of issues, attitudes, etc., and I was called on to support that team. So I took on the position because I knew the skills that I have, from not just what I learned outside, from being the resilient person that I am because of how I grew up, because I became a mom. All these things only made me more. So today, I'm in a position to empower you to really think, what are the skills and accolades that you've already kept, that you are continuing to grow, that you can utilize to propel you for the next position and to show you who you are. Because you are so much more. And sometimes those limitations are imposed, you accept, and then you stay stuck until you decide that you're meant for more. And then you start to make the decisions that will propel you towards a breakthrough that will show who you are. And then you're going to be empowered to really make the shift and the changes that you need to do it. And you owe it to yourself to live through your full potential in your work, in your home, to be the leader, to shift the mindset and become the mindset of a leader. What would a leader do? That's who you can be. And if you haven't challenged with that, that's when you can check in to grow, whether you go through decide that you want to get more skills, or simply understand, how can I hone in my skills? Maybe I actually want to put myself in that position, because you don't grow to become a manager without being in that position. And sometimes it's just about being in that place and then deciding, I'm actually going to start using my full skills here. But you can start, no matter where you are, with the position that you have, to use your skills of influence, of being a giver, of doing more, of thinking of others. How can I give? How can I be more? And that will propel you to the next level and the next level. Don't let someone else to dim your light. Think about the fact that you wear this badge of honor of being a mom as a staple for the fact that you became more, that you became stronger as an individual, that you have more skills because of that, not less. That because you became a mom, you actually became more, and you continue to be more as you are raising your children. So I believe in you, and I know you can do much more. So I want to empower you to go after what you want with confidence. Mwah.